Okay, good morning, good afternoon class. So today we're going to look at paper 2. Yesterday we completed paper 1, not so? Okay, so I hope in this lesson we can conclude paper 2 and also to have a look at what issues you had with regards to the questions in this paper. Okay, so starting off with question 1, let me just put here, this was the grade 11 paper 2 June exam. Exams 2022. Alright. So it was a 2-hour paper, 400 marks. Looking at question 1. So in question 1 we are told the table below shows the weight to the nearest kilogram of each of the 27 participants in the weight loss program. The question is calculate the range of the data. What you should note at this point is that this data is already in ascending order, which means to say it's already going from smallest to biggest. So the range of the data is the highest value minus the lowest value, which is 156 minus 56, which is 100 kilograms. That's the range of the data. Determine the 5-number summary. Now the 5-number summary consists of a set of numbers, 5 numbers namely. The numbers are the lowest value, quartile 1, quartile 2, quartile 3, and the highest value. The lowest value we engaged with was already 56, the highest value is 156. The median is the middle number of sorted data, so the middle number here is going to be 93. Is that correct? Hi.
Apologies for disturbing, I'm looking for Latita. Completely absent? Yes. She wasn't registered this morning? She was.
Lati? No, Madam, which Lati? That's the full name. No,
We wrote the register slip down?
Miss Faber.
Miss? Thank you.
No problems. Okay, so quartile 2 is the middle number of sorted data, not so? So that is 93 there. You all agree with that? Since there are 27 numbers, 27 divided by 28 is going to be, 26 is 13, no, 20. How many numbers are here? There's 27, yes. Now why are you saying 28? 28 divided by 2 is going to be 14. So it's the 14th number. So you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And you count that way as well to make, if you want to make sure. Or as I've indicated, you can play little games with yourselves. Okay, and you put your finger on the first and the last, and you move it along so until you reach at the same point. Okay, so this is your quartile 2. Your quartile 1 is the median of the lowest set of data. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 numbers we're going to consider. 13 divided by 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6, so it's 6.5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 7th number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 82 is going to be quartile 1. And then quartile 3 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's the 7th number. Can you see that, people? So that's going to give you 127. Okay. Then we carry on and we say, okay, the next question says, use the number line provided in the answer book and draw a box and whisker diagram for the above data. Now for the box and whisker diagram, we need the 5-number summary, not so. And these are the values I need. Okay, so if I start here, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, so that is enough. So I can go into tens. If that didn't work, then I would have made it either bigger to accommodate, or I'll make it smaller, my spacing. Okay? But we're not going to make it once because it won't be enough. I'm not going to make it 50s and then you have a small box and whisker here. It doesn't make sense. Okay? So use as much of the grid as possible. So it's 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150, 160. And if you're that kind of girl that needs to do a calculation to see what should the range be, what we do is we say the highest value minus the lowest value divided by 10. Because as you can see, there's about 10 we leave in spacings there. Okay. So the first one is 56, so it's 55 is there, so just over the half. So it's 56 there. The highest value is 156. It's approximately there. Quartile 2 gets a stroke at 93. You also noted that I write the numbers on top. Quartile 2 is 82. It's just about over there. There's 82. And then 127. Close to 130. And there's your box. And here's your whiskers. Okay, come inside. Yes. Just go that side. Put the money there. Okay. So any confusion here? No? So the next question says, by making a reference to the box and whisker diagram, comment on the skewness of the data. So as you can see here, which side is larger? That is larger. Not so. From your median to the maximum value is larger than the median to the minimum value. Okay. So this data is skewed to the right. Can you see this side is bigger, so it's skewed to the right, or positively skewed. Okay. The dot is lopsided or to the right hand side. Okay. It's leaning more to the right. Then the question says determine the standard deviation of this data. Okay, so these two questions is coming in relating to this data. We don't need this. I'm going to take that off at this point. So I can draw the standard deviation up here. This question. So the question says, in 1.5, determine the standard deviation of the data. Now, the standard deviation is, it tells you with regards to the spread of the data and the spread of the data around the mean. Okay, how far the data is, or how close together the data is to each other. So if the standard deviation is large, then the data is fairly, the range is large, which means to say it's across a large range of numbers, as well as if the standard deviation is large, the data is scattered away from each other. Okay, so they are far apart from each other. Whereas if the standard deviation is small, the range is small and the data is close together. Okay, they're clustered close together. So if you look at the standard deviation for this calculation, what we do is we must program the calculator in such a way that the calculator can aid us in calculating the standard deviation. To do that, we press mode. We're going to go with stack, so it's 3 and 1 for variance. Okay, we put the variance on. At this point we enter the data, so it's 56 equals 16, 8 equals, can somebody read out the data? 69 equals, okay, it sounds like I'm alone in the class. 71 years, 72 years, 82 years, 84 years, 85 years, 88 years, 89 years, 90 years, 92, 93, 94, 96, 97, 99, 102, 103, 127, 128, 134, 135, 137, 144, 156. Huh? That's it. So what we do is we press AC to store the information on the calculator, shift 1, because we want to activate the step key, the distribution there. Then we press 4 for variance. 2 is mean, 3 standard deviation. So my standard deviation is 25,84. Is that correct? Standard deviation is 25,84. 3 marks on that question. Then the question says, the person weighing 127 degrees state that she weighs more than 1 standard deviation of your mean. So to work out, yes miss?
So is she with you?
No miss, she's with? She's supposed to be here, but she's not here, miss. Is she absent from school today?
No. She's not absent. She was at the office asking for a bag. So a bag is down the corridor. So we're looking for her to fetch her bag.
Is this the one?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, she just stepped in now, miss.
Okay, if she can just fetch her bag
It's by the
outside
office.
consumer studies.
The outside consumer. Thank you, miss. Okay, so she weighs more than 1 standard deviation. We know to work out within 1 standard deviation is your mean plus your standard deviation, your mean minus. Whereas 1 more than, so that's going to be your mean plus a standard deviation. Now your mean, they didn't ask us to calculate that. However, we can draw it from here. So you press shift 1, 4 for variance, 2 for mean. So that works out to be 98,59. Plus your standard deviation, which is 25,84. So the upper boundary for your standard deviation is going to be 25.84. Is your 124,43 kilograms. No? So what does that say? That within one, if it was within 1 standard deviation, I would look at below 124,43. But the person says that she's in 1 standard deviation out above the mean. Do you agree with this person's statement? Is 127 more than 124,43? Yes, it is more than that. So do you agree with the statement? Yes. So we agree with the statement that the weight is 1 standard deviation above the mean. Okay. Let's look at question 2. Another stats question here. In question 2 we are told here we are told that in the mathematics competition, learners were expected to answer multiple choice question paper. The time taken to the nearest minute to complete the paper was recorded. The cumulative frequency graph representing the time taken to complete the paper is given below. Okay. So we got the cumulative frequency graph, your OJ. An incomplete frequency table for the data is given below. So it's incomplete, there's a missing value there. Alright. So the first question says determine the value of A. Determine the value of A. So how many people were here in total? If we look at this graph here, it's going 60. And how many people does it correspond to? 100. Can you see that, people? So this would, to calculate A, it's going to be a 100 minus 24 minus 8 minus 28 minus 34. That gives me an A value of 6. So A is equal to 60. You guys understand? You got an A value of 60. Then it says identify the modal clause. The modal clause is the clause that has the most in, not so the most entries. So here's 24, there's 28, there's 34. So that is the mode. That is the number that occurs the most. Can you see that, people? So the modal clause is x is greater than or equal to 50, but less than 60. Then it says calculate the estimated mean in the time taken to complete the paper. Now to calculate your mean here, what I need to do is I need to work out the midpoints of this, okay, of these classes. So what we do is we say, okay, we got to 10 plus 20, 10 plus 20 is 30, divided by 2 is 15. So that's the midpoint there. 25 is the midpoint there. 30 plus 40 is 70, divided by 2 is 35, 45, 55. Okay. So to work out your estimated mean from your distribution, this is called the distribution table. We then say, since there's 100 people in total, it's going to be 15 times 24, plus 25 times 6, plus 35 times 8, plus 45 times 28, plus 55 times 34. Alright. So that mean works out to be so that is 15 times 24 plus 25 times 6 plus 35 times 8 plus 45 times 28 plus 55 times 34. So this is over 100. So that gives us an answer of 39,2. Is that correct? 39,2. Okay. Let's carry on. Then in 2.4, the question says use the graph to determine the number of learners that it took longer than 35 minutes to complete the paper. We're looking at more than 35 minutes to complete the paper. I'm going with our purple here. So what we do is we go to 35 minutes on the graph. Okay? So there's 30, 40. So 35 minutes is here. It's right in the middle. Can you see that, people? So that's 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40. Can you see that? So 35 is there. Not so? You all agree with that? That is 35. They want to know, it took longer than 35 minutes or shorter. It took longer than 35 minutes. So what I do is I then take this 35 minutes and I go across it, up here, onto the graph there. Okay? Can you see that? Then what I do is I read off from the graph on the cumulative frequency column where that falls in. Okay, so that is approximately here. Can you see that? So that is 30, 32, so approximately plus minus 33. Can you see that? Approximately 33. So from 33 to 100 is how many learners? So what I do is I say it's going to be 100 minus 33, which gives you 67. So approximately 67 people took longer than 35 minutes. You guys understand? Yeah? So let's carry on with our lives. Kelsey, you now had enough to Kelsey?
Yes, sir.
You okay? Yes. So you had all your lunch now in the maths period, now you want to sleep. Is that why the other teachers don't want you to eat in their class? So now don't make like you sleep, okay? I know you're not sleeping, but just don't make like you sleep, okay? People, the next one in question 3.1, or 3's. We are told that cos of 23 is equal to P. So what we do is we draw a diagram. So cos is adjacent over hypotenuse. So that is 23 degrees. My adjacent is P, my hypotenuse is 1. I apply Pythagoras, I get 1 minus P squared. For those of you who don't know how I got that, your opposite side squared plus P squared is equal to 1 squared. Your opposite side squared is equal to 1 minus P squared, and the square root thereof is going to be square root of 1 minus P squared. Okay. So cos of 203, that which quadrant is 203 in? quadrant 3. Not so. How do we get in quadrant 3? It's 180 plus 23. Is cos positive and negative in quadrant 3? Negative. Cos 23. Well, what is cos of 23 equal to? P. So it's simply negative P. The next one, cos of 293. How do we get into 293 is in which quadrant? In quadrant 4. How do we get into quadrant 4? 270 plus 23. Okay, 270 plus 23. Cos positive and negative in quadrant 4. Positive, but changes to sine 23. Okay. Sine 23 is adjacent over hypotenuse. The opposite of adjacent, so it's going to be the square root of 1 minus p squared over 1. So the square root of 1 minus p squared. Or you could have said it's going to be cos 360 minus, I think it's 67. Let's check it. It's a 67. Yeah. Then you're going to use this angle here, that is 67. Okay. And then the last one, tan of 23. Tan is opposite of adjacent. So it's the square root of 1 minus p squared over p. Okay. The next question, 3.2. In question 3.2 it says simplify the following expression to a single trigonometric ratio. Okay, so that goes all stations to Claremont. 180 minus takes you to the second quadrant. Sine positive and negative? Positive. So it's sine x minus. 90 minus, first quadrant. Cos is positive, but changes to sine of x times cos of x over 360 plus is first quadrant, cos is positive, squared remains positive, so it's 2 cos squared x. Negative x in the fourth quadrant, or I say 360 minus x, which is in the fourth quadrant anyway. Sine is positive, cos is positive. Positive times that negative is negative, cos x. What do you notice on top? We have a common factor of sine x. So I'm left with 1 minus 2 cos x over. What is common in the denominator? Cos x. So it's 2 cos x minus 1. So is 1 minus 2 cos x the same as 2 cos x minus 1? No. So I swap this around, one of it. Of course a negative will come out, making this negative sine x over cos x. That will now cancel when you swap them. What is sine over cos? Tan. So it's negative tan of x. Okay. The next question, 3.3.1, prove the given identity. Of course, the left-hand side in this case is more easier to work with. Yeah, I've got an LCM of cos alpha into 1 plus sine alpha. Okay, so you must multiply this by cos to get the denominator, your LCM sorted out. So it's going to be cos alpha times cos alpha plus, this must be multiplied by 1 plus sine alpha. So the numerator as well 1 plus sine alpha squared. Okay, which in turn gives us cos squared alpha, simplifying the numerator, 1 plus 2 sine alpha plus sine squared alpha over cos alpha into 1 plus sine alpha. Okay, so what is cos squared alpha plus sine squared alpha equal to? It's 1, not so. And that 1 plus this one here is going to give us 2. So I take 2 out as a common factor. So I'm left with 1 plus sine alpha over cos alpha into 1 plus sine alpha. Now is 1 plus sine alpha the same as sine alpha plus 1? Yes. So that will cancel. It will give us 2 over cos alpha, which is also equal to the right hand side. Okay, and they have just proven it for 4 marks there. Okay. Then the next question say for which values of alpha, I'm going to take this off here. So we need the given The question says for which values of alpha in the interval 0 to 360 will the given identity be undefined? When will something be undefined? Is when the denominator is equal to 0, not so. So it's where 1 plus sine alpha is equal to 0. So sine alpha is equal to negative 1. 1 minus 1 and 0, we take it to the sine graph. Sine of theta is negative 1 at negative 270. At 270, sorry. Okay, so to sort this out from 0 to 360, and as you can see the graph is drawn from 0 to 360, the one solution is x is an element of, the one is 270. Okay, that is accounting for that there. Then if we look at cos alpha, or it's where cos of alpha is equal to 0. Again, we take it to the cos graph now. Okay, so where's cos 0? At 0, it will be 0 at 90 and at 270. We accounted for 270 already. So the other one that they're looking for is 90 degrees. Okay, those are the two values for which this given identity will be undefined. The next one, they ask you with regards to general solution here. You are given 3.4.1. You are given 3 sine 2x plus 2 is equal to 0. So for the general solution, I need to isolate the trig ratio first. So 2x is equal to negative 2 over 3. I apply my reference angle here. So it's going to be arc sine of 2 over 3. Note that I dropped the negative. So arc sine of 2 over 3. I know some of you work with the negative, but I just tend to over the years work without the negative. As many learners get confused there, so it's 41,81 degrees. Okay, it didn't say to 1 decimal place, nobody says, but since the instruction initially was for 2 decimal places. Again, at this point, you do not divide by 2. You don't touch the angle until you post it to these quadrants. So the question that comes to mind is which quadrant is sign negative? So which quadrant is sign negative? 3 and 4. So let's go with quadrant 3. In quadrant 3, we have 2x is equal to 180. Remember, how do we get to quadrant 3 is 180 minus. Quadrant 4 is 360. 180 plus and 360 minus. 41,81 plus k times 360. So x is equal to, so we say 180 plus that answer divided by 2 is 110,91. 110,91 plus k times 180. Or quadrant 4, which is going to be 2x is equal to 360 minus 41,81 plus k times 360. So that's going to give you 360 minus 41,81 divided by 2 is 159,1. 159,1 plus k times 180, where k is an element of integers. Again, if you leave this out here, you will lose a mark there. Okay. Unelva, you alright? Sit up straight back now. You can drop your mask if the mask is making you tired. Yeah? Not? Okay. People? Okay, just let me know when I'm going wrong. I see people is sleeping there. How must I feel? Feel like I'm bored. I'm boring you guys. Didn't you like this exam? But most of you got 80%, must not? You can feel like you can sleep now. Okay. No, you didn't get 80%. Okay. The question says, determine the value of x if it's further given that x is an element of negative 200 to 200. So the solutions must lie between those values. So where do I start? I start with k is equal to 0. If you say k is equal to 0, I'll get 110,91, which is outside the given domain. However, I replace it now with minus 1. So we then say 1. Okay, I'm going to go with this one first, so it's on the calculator already. So if I put a 0 in here, I'm going to get 159,1. Okay? That is outside. So what do I do is, I put minus 1 in there. So it's plus negative 1 times 180. So they give you negative 20, 9. So it's negative 20, 91. We're going to go with minus 2 there. Then that is outside negative 200, 91, which is outside this given domain. Can you see that? It's just outside. So I'm not interested in that. Then in the first branch, which is 110, 91 minus 180. Negative 69,1. You're going to put minus 2 in there, which is subtracting another negative 180. So you get negative 249,1, which is outside the given domain. Okay. So those are the two solutions. Okay. Okay, question 4. Here we are given question 4, we are given f, which is cos 2x plus 1, and you're given g of x equals tan x for x in, very important that for x in element of 0 to 270. But if you look at what is given here, it's given to 315 degrees. Can you all see that? So that you must keep in mind. Right, in 4.1.1, write down the period of f. So what's the period here? The normal sine graph, cos graph completes itself in 360. Divided by 2 is going to give you 180 degrees. 4.1.2, write down the equation of the asymptotes of g. That's a tan graph. For the given domain, x is equal to 90 degrees or x is equal to 270 degrees. Okay? Next question. Sketch the graph of f and g on the same set of axes. Label all the intercept of the axis as the turning point and the end points. Okay? Just take this down here. Okay, so the first graph is cos 2x plus 1. So the basic cos graph does that. This is normally 360. But because it's 2, it's going to be 180. Plus 1 shifts this graph 1 unit up. Okay? Which makes then the maximum value 2. So you got 2. This, which is 0, becomes 1 now. And this is 90, so that's 45. And 90, which is minus 1, becomes 0. So I repeat that thing going through, and there we go. That's the cos graph. Whoops. Very important, people, that you do not draw past 270. Why? Because they gave us the given interval from 0 to 270. Okay, if you go past, we'll take one mark off. So that's 180 and 2. That's on the dark graph, so I don't have to write that. The turning point is there and the starting point. So that's all I need to write. Okay, inclusive of that turning point, and this is the graph of f. When you look at the graph of g, which is the tan graph, we have an asymptote at 90 degrees. X is equal to 90. We have an asymptote at 270 degrees, which is the end point on this graph. Okay. So the tan graph, it starts at 0. 45 is 1. It does that. 180 is 0, 135, and minus 1. 225 and 1. If you don't know how to do that, throw it on your, and you can do it on the calculator, and you can plot those points there. And this is the graph of g of x. Okay. And that gets you 6 marks. Okay. Let's carry on with our lives. It says write down, use your graph to write down the general solution. Yeah, it's not talking about what is given. The general solution So you must have that k times whatever of x with the equation cos 2x plus 1 is equal to tan x. What does this remind us of? Reminds us of these two given graphs here. So we are the equal where they intersect each other, not so or overlap each other. So if you look at where they overlap, they're overlapping here and they're overlapping there. So how many degrees apart is this here? From 45 to 225, it's 180 degrees later, not so. So in other words, that solution where they are equal to each other is x is equal to 45 degrees plus k times 180, where k is an element of integers. Otherwise you could have said x is equal to 45 plus k times 360, or x is equal to 225 plus k times 360. This is another way of writing exactly what I've written there down. Okay. So that's that. Let's take this off. Is that it? Is there another question regarding this graph? So only that one. Alright, let's look at 4.2. In question 4.2 we are told, so make this a bit smaller here. Not too small. In 4.2 we are told in the diagram below, the graph of f, which is a, cos bx and g of x equal to sine x plus 1 are drawn for x as an element of negative 180 to 180, which is that given domain there. Or the given domain there. So the first question says, for 1.2, write down the values of A, B, and P. So you're looking at the values of A. A is the period, another period by the amplitude of the graph. The graph of F, in this case, is going to be not the amplitude, but the fixed amplitude. So that is from 1 to 0. Your maximum, your neutral point is 1. So your A value is going to be 1. You look at the B is your period of the graph. So the cos graph's period is 180, as you can see here. Okay, the cos graph is of course 180. So what's the period on this graph? The B value of course is 2. And then your P value is the shift on the graph. Okay? So if you're looking at the sine graph normally starts at 0. But this sine graph is starting 45 degrees later. So in other words, this graph has moved 45 degrees to the left. So it's going to be sine of x. So your g of x graph is actually sine of x plus 45. Remember, the x is the additive inverse, while so if your graph moves horizontally up to down, it has a direct effect there. So it's going to be cos 2x. These are the two graphs in question. Alright, let's see what's the next question. Okay, take this out. 4.2.2, for which values of x in the given interval does the graph of x f increase as the graph of g increase? So in other words, both graphs must be increasing at the same time. Okay, so looking at this here, here you can see f is decreasing. Here it's decreasing till there. Okay, so not interested in that. However, f is increasing from there to there and again decreasing. So from the interval from negative 90 to 45, I must see where both graphs are increasing, or where the g is increasing as well. Okay, so here the g is increasing from here all the way. So yes, it's increasing from there all the way. Whoops, I'm on the wrong graph. Have we established that? No, I'm off the wrong. Sorry. Both is increasing. No? So here, one is increasing, one is decreasing. Till here. Okay, the other one is increasing and the other one starts increasing as well from this point. Can you see that? All is increasing till here. And then there you can see the one graph is decreasing again. Can you see that, people? You all agree with that? So it's increasing there, then decreasing, 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 then increasing, but then this one is decreasing. So the highlighted part, so it's from negative 90 to 0, both graphs are increasing. So x is greater than 0, this is greater than negative 90, but less than 0 degrees. Okay. Am I moving too fast here? No. Okay. I feel like I'm moving too fast. But as you know, time is against us. But it's short to listen today. Because of you leaving early today, not so. So the next question. They asked you to write down the period of f of x, f of 3 of x. But what is the period of f of x as it stands here? The period of f of x is 180. Not so. It's further divided by 3. So it's 180 divided by 3, which is 60 degrees. You say, okay, I didn't think like that, no problem. So what is f of 3 of x? This is another way of doing it. So if I see x, I put the 3 of x. So cos of 2 times 3 of x, which is cos of 6 of x. And the cos graph is normally 360. 360 divided by 6 is 60 degrees. That's another way of doing exactly that same calculation. Okay. Then the next question, determine the maximum value of h of x. So h of x is equal to 4 f of x plus 1. So what is the maximum value of f of x? So we're looking at f of x's maximum is 1. Not so. Maximum is 1. So what effect does that 4 have in front of it? The amplitude, the graph is stretched, enlarged by a factor of 4. So that cos graph would be at 4 and minus 4. Not so. Then what happens to this graph? So for this part of the graph, the maximum value is 4. Can you see that? But what happens to the graph? Moves 1 unit up. Which means to say the maximum value, therefore the maximum value of 5. It moves 1 up, so it will be at 5. Okay. Yes? Huh? The minimum value. Sorry, I'm reading maximum. What's wrong with me? So the minimum value, so just going here, the minimum value is at minus 4. Minus 4. No? Then plus 1 is going to be minus 3. The minimum value of minus 3. Sorry about that. I would have not gotten full marks. You see now? Is that the one mistake you also made? But you got that right? Wrong, okay. In 4.2.5, we are told for which value of values of x will f of x times g of x be greater than 0 for x in any. So they're only looking where between 0 and 180. They're not interested in anywhere else on the graph. So taking that into account, f of x times g of x is greater than 0. What does greater than 0 mean? It must be positive. Not so. When is something positive? When you multiply. Is where both is positive or both is negative. Not so. When is something positive is when it's above this line, and when it's a negative it's below the line. Okay. So it's only from 0 to 180. That's all 180. That's all we're looking for. Okay? From 0 to 180. So both must be positive or both must be negative. What? From 0 onwards, what do we notice here? Both graphs is positive. Can you see that? Both is positive from 0 to 45. Then from 45 to 90 to 135 to 180, it doesn't satisfy what they're looking for. Not so. So it's only from 0 to 45. So x is greater than 0, but x is less than 45 degrees. Okay. So a good question. Let's move on. Yes?
Why did I read that
Do you have an equal sign here under? I think that's where you're going wrong. I'm missing that as well. You see, I'm now making the same mistake that you made in your exam. It should be an equal sign. Why? Because this is inclusive. We always tend to forget this, okay? This is inclusive. So it's at 0, it satisfies this condition, where both is positive. Not so. At 45, 1 is 0 and 1 is positive. And the 0 times positive will result in a 0 answer. Okay. So that's that. Alright. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to complete this video in the next period. If you want, you can have a look at the lesson later on online. Otherwise, do what you normally do, just don't watch the video. But I'll cover the geometry in the next period. Okay. People enjoy the rest of your day. Good morning, good afternoon class. Also tomorrow, we will start our new work again. We'll carry on with normal work. Okay. Okay. So in 5.1 we are told in the diagram below, O is the center of the circle and AC is the diameter. So if AC is the diameter, then of course that angle is 90, that angle is 90, and many other things we can conclude from it. Okay. It's your diameter and so on. Then we have also angles at center is twice the angle at circumference, which is there, and angle at center is twice the angle at circumference there as well. Okay. Then the question says determine the values of P, Q, and R. Okay. So if we're looking at P, as you can see here, we have angles in the same shape. The bow tie or the button. Okay. So we're going to say that angle P is 65 degrees, angle in same segment. And this is coming from arc BC. Alright, 65 degrees. Then PQ, as I've indicated, that of course is 90 degrees. So Q is equal to 90 minus 65 degrees, which is 25. 90 minus 65 is 25 degrees. Why? Angle in semicircle. Okay, in half a circle there. And then angle at center is twice angle circumference. The angle R is equal to 2 times 65, which is 130 degrees. Angle at center is equal to 2 times angle at circumference. Okay. That's 6 marks. Right. Let's look at this question here. We are told that in the figure, AC is the diameter. So if AC is the diameter, then this whole angle here is 90 degrees. Okay? And also angle at center is twice angle circumference. AC is the diameter of circle with center O. If AE is a tangent, so if this is a tangent, then A1 of course is equal to angle B, which is also angle C. Also, a radius is perpendicular to tangent. Okay, all of those things should come to mind. Alright. First question. It says calculate with the reason the size of. Calculate with the reason the size of angle B. Okay. So angle B, as you can see, angle at center is twice angle circumference. So it's going to be a half of 1/4. Okay. So angle B is equal to a half 1/4. So it's 51, 2. So it's 52 degrees. Okay. That's 1/4. 52 degrees. Why? Angle at center equals 2 times angle at circumference. Okay. In the next question, I want you to calculate angle C and angle C. Let's go with angle C first. Angle C is also 52 degrees. Angle C is equal to 52 degrees. Why? You can also say angle at center is twice angle at circumference, or we can say angles in the same segment. As you can see, there's your bow tie. So angles in the same segment, and it's coming from arc AD. Okay? You don't have to say which arc it's coming from. Then they want you to work out angle A1. So angle A1 is this angle here, and as I've indicated already, that angle is equal to that. So that's 52 degrees. A1 is 52 degrees because the angle theorem. Okay. Let's carry on. So ADC. 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 So this angle, of course, is 90 degrees. Okay, and why is that 90 degrees? That is angle in semicircle. Okay. And the last one says D2. So D2, angle D2 okay, so D2 there's D2. I can work D1 out. A2 I can work out. Yeah, then you can go sum of triangles. Let's check it. Maybe there might be an easier way that I'm not seeing at this point. But we're experiencing load shedding in the next few minutes, so I just need to just wrap it up. So that's what I'm seeing now, okay? So firstly, A2 is equal to D1. Why? Because it's angles opposite equal sides. And that's the fact that it's your radius. Okay? So D1, double D1 is equal, or just angle D1. We're going to go with sum of triangles here. So angle D1 is equal to 180 minus 104 divided by 2. That is sum of triangles. Okay. Sum of triangles there. So angle D1 is 180 minus 104 divided by 2. 38 degrees. That is 38 degrees there. 38, 38. Okay, now I'm going to go with sum of triangles. As I said, there might be an easier way, but I just can't see it now. So angle D2 is equal to 180 minus 52 degrees minus 32 minus 38 times 2. And the reason here is sum of triangles. Is triangle BAD. Okay. So it's 180 minus 32 minus 38.
My apologies for this interruption.
Times 2.
Life Sciences, grade
Minus
12,
52.
and Consumer Studies,
280.
grade 12 learners, can you please make your way to your classrooms? Miss Eli and Miss Van Heerden is waiting on you to start the lesson. Grade 12 Life Sciences,
Okay.
and grade 12 Consumer learners.
For this question here,
you kindly
the
make your way
tangent,
to your venues. Thank you.
the tangent question, the proof question, sorry, you'll find the link to the proof below in the description box. As you can see, I'm running out of time here. 6.2. In question 6.2, we are told that in the figure P is T, R is T, sorry. R is T is a tangent to the circle S in M. So there's a tangent and that angle is equal to that angle there. Of course that angle is equal to that angle. So WR is a tangent to the circle, right? So then this angle here is equal to that angle. Okay, many other. There could be other things that could be derived from there as well. Okay, so the first question says prove that. So we must prove that in 1, okay, let this angle here be x, okay. So we must prove that in 1 is equal to m QP. So if we can prove in 1 is x, we've done the job. Okay. So we know that this angle here is x. Why? Because here's your cyclic chord. Okay, that's the exterior angle of cyclic. So that angle is x there. So S1 is equal to x. Why? Exterior angle of cyclic chord is equal to the interior opposite. Then we're saying that S1 is equal to N1. Why? Because of the tan chord theorem. Okay, so therefore MQP is equal to N1, which is equal to x. Okay, so that job is done. So we'll take us off here. Let's go to 6.2.2. In 6.2, we are asked to prove that MQPN is a cyclic chord. To prove cyclic chord is one of three. Exterior angles equal to interior opposite angles are supplementary, or the bow tie, the converse theorem. But as you can see, that is the case. So we say 6.2.2, since N1 is equal to MQP, which is equal to x. Therefore, NMQP is a cyclic chord. Why? So the exterior angle equals the interior opposite. Okay, so all cyclic properties are evident here. Okay, all cyclic properties are evident here. Okay. The next question. (6.2.3). 6.2.3, they want you to prove that M2, so this one here, is equal to S1 and S2. Okay? But we know that angle M2 is equal to x plus S2. Why? Because the exterior angle of the triangle is equal to the sum of the two interior opposite angles. Okay? Exterior angle of triangle is equal to the sum of the two interior opposite. Exterior angle of triangle equals the sum of the two interior opposite, and this is triangle MNS. Okay. So there S2 is accounted for. However, we know that S1 is equal to x. That was proven. Okay? So therefore, M2 has to be equal to S1 plus S2. Okay? So this angle here has a relation with S1 and 2 there. Just keep that in mind. You might need that. Okay, the next question is to prove that WR is parallel to SP. Now to prove that lines are parallel is one of three things, okay? You either prove alternate angles are equal, corresponding angles are equal, or co-interior angles are supplementary. So WR must be equal to, form an alternate angle corresponding or co-interior with that line there. Okay. So we know that R1, this angle R1 is equal to angle M2. Now we know that tan theorem. Okay. Alright, but we know that M2 is equal to S1 and 2. That was proven. So that's going to have the same marking here. So can you see the alternate angles being formed there? So we say since R1 is equal to angle R1 is equal to angle S1 and 2, the combination thereof. Or you could have said PSR. Therefore, SP is parallel to WR. Why? Because the alternate angles are equal. Alternate angles are equal, therefore those lines are parallel. That's basically the converse of alternate angles. Okay. The bonus question. I think I found 2 or 3 minutes. The bonus question here is sine of x plus sine squared x is equal to 1. Alright. So basically what we did was we took that over. So sine squared x is equal to 1 minus sine x. Okay. So sine squared x is the same as, in terms of sine squared x plus cos squared x is equal to 1. So cos squared x is equal to 1 minus sine squared x. Okay. So what I'm going to do is that is simple. That is going to be 1 minus sine squared x. Right? Now, I think there was supposed to have been a 4, no? Yeah. So this there can be written as sine, so cos squared x squared, that is the same as cos 4x. So that would be 1 minus sine squared x squared. Okay. But we know that sine squared x is the same as 1 minus sine x. This is this here. Okay. So that would be simply 1 minus 1 minus sine x squared, okay, plus 1 minus sine x. I think there's an easier way in the memo, okay. So that of course cancels, leaves you a sine squared x plus, that can multiplies up, then that cancels, leaves you a sine x. Now we are left with again sine squared x plus sine x, which is equal to, that basically brings us to the end of this paper. Okay, I'm sure it was a good paper.